Because then your eldest son, he was on set.
Yeah, he was on set. I brought him for every musical number. So he has a very skewed view of what his dad does for a living. He sees Big Ben and goes, "Daddy climbs that for work." But it was magical because he was 2 turning 3 when we were making this movie, and they're very formative sort of memories for him.
And also the physical sets. It wasn't all CGI or anything.
Oh, it was nearly all physical sets.
Yeah, he was on Cherry Tree Lane. He was, you know,
the
on
Big Ben, the big
set.
Triple Little Light Fantastic.
Yeah, our kids sort of explored all that together. That was really magical.
But you already must have been quite a cool dad because of your Disney associations.
Yeah, I was a Moana dad for a while.
Yeah, you wrote the music for Moana.
Yeah.
And, But the thing is, that's got to get you brownie points at home.
It does, and that was his first movie, so it was a lot of "you're welcome" around the house. And, you know, I mean, that's the kind of song you can only write for Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, because only he could get away with it, and you're like, what a charming man. He's the only person who could pull off that.
He is an amazing charmer. You've just worked with him, haven't you?
I did just work with him, yes. Yeah. We did. We just had dinner with him last night. It was really fun.
What does The Rock eat?
Well, a sort of like gruel, sort of hash-like.
Yes, it was a combination of... It was very different from what we were eating.
Yes.
What was it?
Well, he sort of has
Did
one
he
big
sit?
cheat night a week. Yeah, he sat.
Oh, because when he worked with me, he didn't... It was like he was burning calories while eating lunch. And he would sort of stand and eat this giant chicken. I was like, do you want to sit? And he was like, no, man, I'm good.
But last night, he relaxed.
Yeah.
For his party.
He loves tequila, though.
Oh, does he?
Oh, yeah.
Good old Rock.
Yeah, absolutely. Good old Rock.
I don't know why I dropped the, but anyway. I know him so well. I just call him Rock, no the. Now, Emily, Mortimer, in terms of your children encouraged you to get involved in animation, to do voice work, didn't they? Well, didn't you? No, was it your son?
Oh, my son loved Finding Nemo. My son's first word was Nemo, which is a quite bad reflection of me as a parent.
It says there's a lot of sitting in front of a telly.
I did actually love Finding Nemo. I think Finding Nemo is one of the best films ever made. But I did work out quite early on that he was sort of hypnotised watching it and that it would be quite good to sort of just shove him in front of it for hours at a time. And so his first word was Nemo. And then about 6 months later, I put Nemo on for the 100,000th time and he said, "Not fucking Nemo again." Honestly, he must have had someone else say that.
You probably.
Me, probably.
On the phone, it's fucking Nemo again.
Oh, my God.
Funny. But then you said yes to Cars.
I did.
Yes.
How do you know so much about me?
It's like I've read about you.
I'm Holly Shiftwell.
Yes, you are.
There's Holly Shiftwell.
Holly Shiftwell.
Yeah.
That just seems like such an adult name to give a character in a cartoon.
I know, it's quite sort of kinky, isn't it?
It is. Holly Shiftwell. Yeah. And obviously, when kids came to the set, they were very excited to meet Mary Poppins. But then, double whammy, Paddington's there as well.
I know.
Yes. Because presumably, do kids just... That must be a thing now.
No, it isn't, because... because what I've learned is...
It is!
No, because the thing I've learned is that kids don't understand that you're the voice of Paddington.
It's true, they don't.
You're either Paddington or you're not Paddington.
It's true.
Paddington, how could he be disembodied from his voice? It's very confusing for them.
So is it the parents who come up and say...
Yes, and they always lie and say, "Can I have a photo for my child?" Like they'd be interested.
A man who looks nothing like Paddington. You say you look nothing like Paddington, but isn't the face in Paddington somehow connected to your face?
Yes.
Is it?
Yeah, I wear...
Is he?
Yeah.
I can't see it.
I wear a helmet thing and they film my...
You have to wear a helmet while you're filming it? While you're recording the voice?
Like a cycling helmet with a camera on the front.
Do you feel a bit embarrassed when you...
Yes. And it's sort of angled about
You
there.
have to walk around with it. Do you have to walk around with a little case and stuff?
Sometimes.
Do they really?
Sometimes you do, yeah.
I assumed... Oh, I see. So you have to rock up.
Some days it's just a face, some days it's a bit of walking around. Yeah.
But I have to say, Ben's on-screen appearances began at quite an early age. Now, I think you were a teenager, weren't you? Did anyone remember Ben Whishaw's fine work in a series, not just one, a series of Bird's Eye ads? Anyone remember these?
Yes.
And I didn't know you were...
Yeah, how old are you in these? About 17, 18?
When I see it, maybe I'll be able to be more accurate. I think I'm about 17.
OK, this is... honestly, it'll make you want to get some bird's eye chicken curry. Here you go, Ben Whishaw.
Oh, Lord above.
Ping.
It's really nice. Where's it?
Oh, it's just bird's eye. Chicken curry. It's really interesting. It's got herbs, spices, and 100% chicken breasts.
Easy tasting, bird's eye, lovely.
So good!
That's a brilliant... That's not the best. That's genius.
I remember that day very well because they couldn't use real steam. And it had to look piping hot, this chicken curry. And the real steam, for some reason, wasn't reading. And to my alarm, suddenly there was a bloke next to me with a long straw, very long straw, puffing a cigarette through the chicken curry.
Oh, my God!
That I then had to eat.
Oh, my God!
Different times, different times.
By the way, you're brilliant in it.
Yeah, well done.
No, that's a
Say.
because usually old ads are just funny, but was meant to be funny and is funny. Yeah, it's good. It's good.
Really good.
Now, talking of famous co-stars and celebrities and things, I imagine Lin-Manuel Miranda. There isn't a famous person in the world who hasn't been to see Hamilton. Yeah, and. I mean, when you were on Broadway, was it just every night there was a huge...
It was... You were scared of getting sick and calling out. I got sick once in the year I performed it, and I missed Beyoncé and Jay-Z. Yeah, that's what I said. No. And I was, like, pulling the IV out of my arm, I had a fever of 104, and my wife was like, stay in bed. I was like, I could do it, I could do it. And yeah, I mean, you just couldn't miss because it was like the internet came to the show every night.
And when you first brought it to the UK, you were joined in the audience by someone very famous, Prince Harry and Meghan. Yeah, I know. So how does that happen?
I look very relaxed.
Whoa.
Yes!
This is going fine.
I'm loving this evening.
Meghan's having a great time.
Yeah.
They're really like you.
They'd been
Not so
before,
much.
actually.
Yeah.
And they were fans of the show. They'd actually seen the show sort of secretly a few months prior in sort of a little secret box. I mean, it's the Victoria Theatre. That's his great-great-great-great-grandmother's theatre, so he knows secret ways in.
Yeah. and of course, George III that must be... What is
his
that?
sixth great-grandpa.
How weird. And then he's...
Wow, that's amazing.
Goodness.
Yeah, I'm really glad he didn't take it personally. we do take the piss a bit out of King George III.
Have you guys all seen it?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Saw it 4 times.
Get you.
I know. Yeah. I know. Mega fan.
I've got to take my mum. I've got to talk to you about that.
Okay.
Is that... Actually, we were laughing about this. Is that your life, just people asking you for tickets to Hamilton?
Yeah, for the most part. And I'd rather that than me busking outside, because I've been that guy, too. I've been busking at the Edinburgh Fringe, being like, please see our show. So I like this better.
Yeah. And you are going back into it.
Yes, I'm playing Hamilton in January in Puerto Rico.
In Puerto Rico. And I'm a big thing, but in English?
Yes, in English. It's a third national tour that we're basically inaugurating and debuting there, except that all of the funds will go to artists and arts organizations struggling to recover from Hurricane Maria.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when you say you're going back into it, like, at this point, can you just rock up, or do you have to go...
Kind of.
Oh, you can?
I was scared when I saw it with the Duke and Duchess because Meghan knew the lyrics slightly better than I did. I was trying to mouth along, and I couldn't get it all, but I've been studying. I think I can do it now. I think I'm ready.
And are there bits that you always kind of dread, that they're a bit... You know, even you wrote it, but they're a bit sort of tongue-twisty.
Yeah,
kind of...
yeah. Well, Hamilton's first big song in the show is called My Shot, and it is the biggest sort of meal in terms of lyrics. And if you can get through that, you've got the show. It's sort of like the way Hamlet's like 6 major monologues. It's like, if you can get My Shot, you've got it.
Can I poke you with a stick and you can do a little tiny bit?
I could try.
Oh, go on. Go on.
I have to stand. Can I
stand? Yes. Yes.
I won't remember if I'm sitting.
OK, stand.
I'ma get a scholarship to King's College. I probably shouldn't brag, but dag, I'm amazed and astonished. The problem is I got a lot of brains but no polish. I gotta holler just to be heard with every word. I drop knowledge. I'm a diamond in the rough. A shiny piece of coal trying to reach my goal. My power of speech unimpeachable. Only 19, but my mind is older. These New York City streets get colder. I shoulder every burden, every disadvantage I've learned to manage. I don't have a gun to brandish. I walk these streets famished. The plan is to fan this spark into a flame. But damn, it's getting dark, so let me spell out the name. I am the A-L-E-X-A-N-D-E-R. We are meant to be a colony that runs independently. Meanwhile, Britain keeps shitting on us endlessly. Essentially, they tax us relentlessly. Then King George turns around and runs a spending spree. And he ain't ever gonna set his descendants free. So there will be a revolution in this century. And to me, he says in parentheses, don't be shocked when your history book mentions me. I will lay down my life if it sets us free. Eventually, you'll see my ascendancy. And I am not throwing away my shot. It's something like that.
Oh. Wow!
I
got it, it's there.
You got it.
Okay.
Drink.
Yeah. And it's like,
Take it down.
You weren't that good. Well done, that man. Right. It is time for music, everyone. This iconic band have sold over 150 million records and defined a generation with their chart-topping hits. Now, after 20 years, they return with a new album. Here performing live, it is Boy George and Culture Club! That's it. That's your movie right there. And it must be lovely, I was saying to you guys backstage, it must be lovely to see it, you know, after all this time, with all, you know, all the animation and everything back in it. And...
It is amazing, actually, because when we shot the animation, it was all on a green screen, so we were sort of interacting with a tennis ball and stuff.
Yeah.
The movie's about imagination, and we needed to use ours because all of our co-stars were to be drawn later.
Yeah. So, obviously, Emily Blunt, you're Mary Poppins, that we know.
Yes.
But Emily M., let's go with Emily M.
Okay.
And Ben, now you play returning characters also.
Yes.
Yes.
Tell us who.
Tell them, Ben.
We're Michael and Jane Banks, but grown up.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you've sort of grown into your parents in odd sorts of ways.
Yes, but sort of shyer, slightly more afraid versions of our parents who were very eccentric, kind of out there, slightly odd, weird people in the first movie, brilliantly played by Glynis Johnson, David Tomlinson.
Yeah.
But yes,
And
I'm
there's
an
a
activist
really
and he's a banker.
there's a really sweet cameo that if you don't know, you'd miss it. So I think you should tell people that the original Jane.
Yes, Karen Detrice, who was the original Jane in the movie, in the first movie, who was the little girl, is in a scene with the three of us. Yeah. But she bumps into him coming out of the house.
Yeah.
And she asks for directions.
Yes, she asks for directions.
And if you know, you go, oh! And if you don't know, you go, what is that? So we'll tell people. But now, Lynn, you are a new character.
Yes.
Who you?
I play... Who me? Who me? I play Jack the Lamplighter. He's defined as he's an apprentice to Bert from the first film, but Bert has like 20 jobs in that first film, so it really could mean anything. He painted watercolors, he plays 12 instruments, you know, he flirts with Mary Poppins. So, you know, it could mean anything, but Jack sort of knows that Mary is magic, and he's the wingman. He plays the wingman position.
And in this country, at least for as long as I can remember, people have had a sort of obsession about Dick Van Dyke's accent.
I know, it's so good, right?
It's amazing. I don't know how he nailed it, but were you aware of that? Did you know that we all...
Yes.
Okay.
You know, Dick Van Dyke turned 93 years old last week.
Wow.
Dick Van Dyke. We are still talking about his accent in Mary Poppins, so I knew that whatever I did, it would be discussed for the rest of my life.
I mean, I don't think I'm giving anything away. I mean, he dances.
He does.
He gets 3 rounds of applause in this
Keep
movie.
asking if it's CGI. It's so mean.
So ridiculous.
No,
He is
all
that
him.
limber. You can't believe he's that lithe, but he is.
And does he, I mean, did he kind of connect...
I don't know what that was.
I don't know what that was. But did he kind of connect you to the original? Was he kind of... Because for him, it must have been a kind of such an odd thing to be back in this world after all these years.
We all sat around like kids just wanting him to tell us about the original. I mean, he is so instantly magical. It was very moving having him around, and He's so positive and so full of life, isn't he?
Yeah, he's got that glint in his eye.
Very
That's
special.
very much what the movie's about. He's a little kid.
And Emily, what was it like getting the call saying, you know, you're Mary Poppins?
I mean, I was really shocked. Rob Marshall, the director, called me, and it was... I've known him a long time, but this phone call had such a sort of charged energy behind it that I thought, well, either he's going to propose to me, and I'll probably say yes. But when he said... You know, there was this long preamble, and then he did announce it was Mary Poppins. I was completely shocked. I remember just being stunned. It was the last thing I expected him to say.
And it must have been odd, because you were in the middle of Girl on a Train.
I was.
When you were doing...
Basically the same movie.
It's just nothing.
Yeah, I mean, more.
Nothing says Mary Poppins like a blackout drunk, does it? You know what I mean? And then... No, look at her, right? I mean, she should look after your children.
They're in here somewhere, I don't know. I didn't let them out.
Exactly.
But then, there must have been moments, you know, those iconic scenes where you're just thinking, look at me, I'm Mary Poppins.
I think the entrance, I was like, holy... I'm Mary Poppins. It was that moment. I didn't say that.
Didn't say that.
It was like I was 60 feet in the air with, you know, the bag and the umbrella and the coat, and it was just...
And the feet in
relevant. And the feet.
Yes.
First position.
Yeah.
And I think that was a moment of, oh, my God, this is happening, you know.
And, of course, there were lots of challenges in the film, like the flying is physically challenging. But, Lynn, you had, it's more physically challenging than maybe it looks.
Yeah. You know, lamplighter's not the easiest job people have ever had. I mean, it's a lot of climbing ladders and riding very cumbersome bikes. There's one scene, you know, there's a lot of dancing and there's a lot of special effects in this movie, but my hardest scene was a scene where I light a lamp, put my lamplighter stick back in its holster on my bike, steal an apple from a cart, throw it to an orphan over my shoulder, all while singing in my Cockney accent, all in a single take on British cobblestone streets. And that 10 seconds is the hardest I've ever worked on.
And Emily Mortimer,
yes.
In this film, you faced two of your biggest fears, but at the same time.
Yes. It was hell, singing.
Oh, singing, yeah.
Which I'm preternaturally scared of and terrible at.
No,
and
you're
also,
not terrible at
Well,
it.
Rob Marshall helped me through my phobias of both, but I had to sing. I'm also very, very, very scared of heights, and I had to be suspended from a great height by a sort of small piece of rope off a crane above London while singing. And poor Lynn had to hold my hand for...
And they were very sweaty.
I became known as Mistress Clammy Hands.
Definitely.
Oh, yeah, it's a really sexy nickname.
Did you think you were going to die? Because I had a moment thinking, if this is how I die, I would die dressed as Mary Poppins. That would be a really bad way to go, you know?
It really required a lot of acting, pretending to be overcome with joy at that moment.
And then, Ben, now, very challenging. A lot of your scenes are with the children. You play the dad of three small children. And is it the smallest one had a kind of truth serum?
Well, I think they all sort of did. But yes, Joel was the youngest actor, and he did sort of pull faces if he didn't sort of believe what you were doing.
No, he was amazing.
Joel, but you had run-ins with Joel as well.
Well, Joel was just, he was
I think
just
we've got a picture of
wild,
Joel. I think we've got a picture of Joel.
No, but look at that. I mean, look at
That's Joel there.
That was pretty much Joel all day, every day, and...
And was it just one? They didn't have twins the way they.
No, it was just Joel, and two would have been too much actually. But there was like Joel wrangling that would go on. You just hear 10 voices from every corner of the set going, "Joel, focus. Joel, please. Joel, stop it now. Joel, focus. Joel, we are shooting."
There was a scene where they're holding cotton candy floss, and he wasn't supposed to eat it between takes. But how do you tell an 8-year-old boy not to eat candy floss?
Yeah.
So he ate it every take. And if you watch the scene, I think he's actually not in his right mind. He is, like, so high on sugar. He's literally going like... It's incredible.
And what was the thing he would try to make you laugh?
Well, Joel would say to me, as I was sort of preparing for a very fast-paced Mary Poppins monologue, and it was just for a second, I just needed to focus, just for a second. And they'd be like, rolling, rolling, and you'd hear Joel go, "Emily, what do you get if you put the letter B in front of the word oobs?" And I was like... It would just be that moment of... you know. And you didn't want to, but, you know, and then they'd be like, an action, you know.
And the original film, obviously, we've all seen that and grew up with it. But Emily Mortimer, you were quite traumatised by it.
Well, there are some weird elements to it that sort of strike... Well, they're very interesting when you're a small child. One of which is we keep talking about this, the nannies being... Do you remember all those nannies being blown away at the beginning of Mary Poppins?
Oh, they were applying for the job.
Yes.
She rocks up.
Yes, and they're lined up in a queue outside the house to apply for the job, and then she rocks up and look, there they are. And they go... It's so amazing. It's so sort of surreal.
Showing their knickers.
Yes, I never questioned it, but I suppose they did all die.
Yeah. I suppose they did.
Yes.
So you would be bummed if you auditioned for Mary Poppins and you got that part. And they were...
But I think now, in terms of the original film, the superfan on the couch, Ben Whishaw.
Yes.
It was a popular film in the Whishaw household, I think.
Only with me. No one else could bear to watch it, but I'm forced to.
You watched it a lot, though.
Endlessly.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you identified with Mary.
I wanted to be her.
Yes. And now, honestly, I didn't break into your house. You did send us this picture. But someone in the Whishaw household took a picture of young Ben. How old are you in this picture?
I think I'm about 3 or 4.
About 3 or 4. And this is Ben Whishaw giving us his Mary.
Oh, my God.
Good noise, everyone. Good noise.
With your little lunchbox.
The lunchbox.
The carpet bag
That's the
lunchbox.
carpet bag.
Sorry.
Still in character from when he was 3. That's the carpet bag.
Oh, Ben.
That umbrella is... Did you nick that or something? That's so perfect.
I don't know who any of that belonged to. That's a kilt. And
It's a kilt.
It's a kilt, but over a dress. I think it's a dress over another dress. You're layering. So on trend. And now, Lin-Manuel Miranda, I would say you don't sound like the easiest of children. You recently tweeted some letters. These are genius. These are letters you wrote to your parents
from
summer camp.
Yeah.
OK. So the first one's kind of a form letter. So it's hi from camp, dear mum and dad, how are you? In hell. Okay. Yesterday, I realised that my tent was full of morons.
Oh, my God.
Today, these really annoying kids are bugging me.
us, yeah.
Tomorrow, excruciating, boring class begins. I can't wait to go home. Please send me some Mad Magazine, something like that. Love, Lin-Miranda. P.S. The kids are OK if you get used to them. Now, this next one is all his own work. This contains drawings and all sorts. It's on Garfield paper. You should know he's taking it seriously.
Yes.
Dear family, hi, remember me? I'm the kid you ditched in the woods for a month. You know how we hardly ever go to Mass? Well, I go every Sunday. Here's a picture to remind you of me. And it's you jumping off a building. I didn't like that. But then the weird thing is, you did get out of camp.
I did. It was the performance of my life. I'm not proud of it as an adult, and if my kids ever ask about it, I'll deny it. But I faked a spinal injury.
Oh, my goodness.
To get out of camp. There was a kid who hurt his back and got to go home, and I went, huh. And then the next day, I was alone with a friend of mine. I threw myself on the floor. I pretended I couldn't feel my legs. And I was rushed to the hospital. And I had to keep up this performance all summer. And I had a fake limp. And I had x-rays at Bellevue Hospital in New York City. But I went home. I got to go home.
Talking of faking things, Emily, you have a story about your dad, John Mortimer, who wrote Rumple of the Bailey and stuff. Didn't your dad come to visit you in Russia?
Oh, yeah, yes, he came. Yes, he came to visit me in Russia, where I was on a gap year between school and university, and I made him take me to the most expensive restaurant in Moscow, which was at the top of the Metropole Hotel, I think it was called, because I hadn't been eating very well on this. Anyway, we went, and he was being so sort of generous and so happy to see me, and he ordered caviar, and it was so great. We had champagne and caviar, but without looking at the menus, and then they brought us the menus, and one order of caviar was something like £250 or whatever the equivalent was, and we both felt absolutely sick. And my dad said, "We have to get out of here." And I said, "I know." And he said, "I'm going to fake a heart attack." And I said, "Oh, that's a great idea." And he started sort of clutching his heart. And I had to tend to him and rush him out of there, and it was brilliant. And we didn't pay.
Yay!
There are kids who love Mary Poppins Returns who are watching this right now.
Talking of Mary Poppins Returns, let's watch another clip. This is the children being introduced to the fan.
Yes, I think Rob really wanted to pay homage to the original. I think it would have been kind of sad if we'd had this sort of slick animation in our version. I think when you think of Mary Poppins, you think of yourself as a child and how you grew up, and so it is sort of nostalgic watching the whole sequence.
Yeah, and of course now, I suppose, there'll be a whole new generation of kids who fall in love with this Mary Poppins. And so, Emily, your kids, how are they with it?
Well, I think, I mean, my youngest, my 2-year-old, has a sort of attention span of a fly, so she watches the trailer, but Hazel, who's almost 5, has seen it and just absolutely loved it and sort of wants to talk about it all the time now. And yeah, it's just really weird.
If you're
it's
5,
really
your mother's Mary Poppins.
No, but I don't think I think she just thinks it's normal. She's like, well, this is what Sonny's mummy does, and this is what my mummy does. You know, it's just sort of like quite conversational for her.
Is it going to help or hinder discipline at home?
Oh, hinder?
Really?
Yeah, I think so. Because she already knows I can't fly. She's like, well, she's fake. but she did ask me to do the voice the other day, just out of nowhere, because she was quite sort of impassive watching the film, just sort of didn't reveal much of what she felt. And then the other day she goes, she's American, of course, sounds American, but she goes, do your Mary Poppins voice. And I go, spit spot, and off we go. And she goes, oh. And it was just so sweet. And they quite like impersonating me in the bathtub, where I say to the dolphin, no.
We met before,
I think we've got 2 on the couch, 1 on a stool. There we go. Lovely. Very good.
Move up, we can
budge up.
Thank you so much for that. That is from the album, also called Life.
Yes.
Also on brand. And that is still available to buy now.
Well, an album's like a movie. It just goes on forever. Never done. It just goes on and on.
On and on.
We like.
Now, there are some connections on the couch.
Emily was going to be me in a video for Mark Ronson, but you were busy. Mark Ronson called you, apparently. I told you this when I met you at the Chateau Montmont.
Was I drunk? What was I?
The Chateau
The rule is, you know, you can... not now, obviously. Me, when I was, like, 19, dreadlocks, the whole thing. Basically, anyone could look like me if you put them in that look.
Man, I would have loved to have been...
If you're beautiful, it really helps, and you are.
Wait, so who ended up being you?
Diane Kruger.
Bloody Kruger! than you.
But
she is very beautiful.
But she was dragged to the East End. She had a terrible time, so I'm glad we didn't do that.
I would have loved to have done your eye makeup. It's absolutely amazing.
I'd love to be you.
Oh, yeah?
Mary Poppins Returns.
There we go.
There's a whiff of it right there, isn't there? Pop an umbrella in and a carpet bag.
That's a bit more Wizard of Oz, that one, isn't it?
Boy George at Culture Club, here you are, back together again. And I've talked to you on the radio, but I haven't talked to you guys. So when you come back together again, is it kind of lovely, or is it kind of like, oh, this is exactly the way it was before?
Well, it's a bit like a family getting together for Christmas dinner.
Yes.
You know, it's like you know which buttons not to press. Although some people still press buttons.
That's my favourite story from the tour. Mikey told a woman at the meet and greet that she looked like young Theresa May.
Oh my God.
In Scotland.
It didn't go well.
It didn't go well.
Brilliant.
No, I say bands are like families. You don't really pick your bandmates. You know, you just sort of end up with them somehow.
So in terms of, you know, being back in the studio and recording, does Boy George win all the arguments? Because when Karma Chameleon came along...
Yes.
Is this true that he liked it, but the rest...
Guilty. It wasn't my favourite.
Oh, was it you hated it?
It was me. It wasn't my favourite.
He hates it when he paid for his house.
He always says that.
But it's true, and mine,
I have
and
a whole
yours.
theory about it. It's too long a theory.
Oh, don't go into it. It's a great song.
And have you got plans for 2019, or you just kind of enjoying the album and
No,
enjoying
we have
2018?
plans. We're working on new plans.
We got a song. We just done a song with Gladys Knight, which is really amazing.
fantastic.
So that's,
Wow.
that's beyond.
Yeah.
Beyond.
When's that going to be out?
New Year.
Oh,
New Year.
fantastic.
January.
Excellent. Well, listen, good luck with that. Good luck with the record.
you.
And thank you so much for doing that performance. Boy George, a couple to go, everybody. Good luck. Right, that's nearly it. Before we go, just time for a visit to the big red chair. Hello.
Hello.
You look so comfortable.
I am comfortable.
Right now. What's your name?
My name is Griff.
Griff?
Yes.
Griff?
Griff, yes.
Griff?
Yes, Griff.
Griff. So where are you from, Griff?
Well, I was born in South Wales, but I'm now living in Colchester in Essex.
All right. Got almost a whoop. And what do you do in Colchester in Essex?
I'm a notary public.
A notary?
Public.
Is that like a judgy type thing?
It's a special kind of lawyer. We deal with things that go abroad. Yeah.
OK, I'll draw a veil. Griff, off you go with your story.
OK, many years ago, when I was a newly qualified solicitor, I was sent by my firm to visit a very important client and get to know their business. I was really, really nervous went along, and the meeting was going really well, and the managing director was lovely. And towards the end of the meeting, he said to me, would you like to come and see the factory where we make the product? So I said, yes, obviously. So we went across to the factory, and the warehouse door opened, and there was all this machinery noise and everything else. And he just walked a few steps away from me. And do you remember those old gobstopper machines where you could just turn the...
Oh, yes.
Anyway. So he went across and he took 2 marshmallow sweets out of this machine and he offered them to me like this. And I thought, oh, my God, I don't know if his hands are clean. What's he been doing? You know, can I take these? What can I do? But I thought, oh, I really want to make a good impression. So I just took the marshmallows off him, put them in my mouth and started to chew. At which point he looked at me and said, no, they're for your ears.
Oh, that's a good story. You can walk with. Oh, you want to be fit? Oh, she wants to be fit. All right, there you go. What happened?
You feel that?
Was she all right?
Yeah.
Is she okay?
Yes.
Oh, good.
I'm not surprised.
Oh, I see. There was just such a big reaction. I thought something bad happened. But yeah. All right, let's have another one. Oh, they're still removing her. No, she wanted... No, I was letting her walk. She wanted to be flipped.
Did she say flip me?
I hope that's what she said. Because that's what happened. Is she been cleared? Yeah. OK. There we go. Hello!
Hello!
You know families at Christmas.
Glass is too much.
It was just too much.
That was the glamorous aunt.
That was the fun aunt. Have we cleared that person now? I think we're ready for another one. Hello!
Hi.
Hi, what's your name?
Sarah Beth.
Sarah Beth, lovely. And what do you do, Sarah Beth?
I work in property PR.
Property PR?
Yes.
Oh, yes. Property needs more PR. OK, Sarah Beth or Sarah Beth?
It's Sarah Beth, yeah.
Sarah Beth. Yeah, I got that right. Yeah. Sorry about that. Sarah Beth, off you go.
OK, so 5 months ago, I gave birth to my lovely little girl. And after doing the necessary, I was lying on a hospital bed, being seen to by a midwife. I won't go any further. And during that moment, my husband was having skin-to-skin with our daughter. So I thought, oh, that's a lovely picture, camera moment. So I took a picture and sent it to all our family and friends. But what I didn't realise that was my husband was sitting in front of a reflective window. And there I was with my legs up in stirrups. There you go. That was the first picture of our little girl that we sent to all our family and friends.
If you can walk, you should walk. Yeah, well done. Well done. That really is all we've got time for. It's nice to have to go to the red show yourself. And tell your story, you can contact us via our website at this address. Please say a huge thank you to all of our guests. Boy George and Culture Club! Ben Whishaw! Emily Mortimer! starring Hogmanay Sofa, including Rita Ora, Guy Pearce, Nicholas Hoult, Keira Knightley, Catherine Tate and Olivia Colman. Until then, have a very happy Christmas. Good night, everybody. Bye-bye!